My name is Josh Stumpenhorst. I'm a junior high English and history teacher in Naperville, Illinois. So pushing limits is something that I think is very important for educators. Whether we're talking about technology or we're talking about non-technology means, pushing the limits is something that is critically important for our profession if we want to push forward into this next generation of learners that we have in our schools. We're always talking about preparing kids for the real world. And sometimes I think that's an outdated thinking, and that we have to look at our kids are in the real world. We need to push the limits of what our schools have been and think about what they can be. We look at different ways in which we use innovation, which is something that in our school we take very seriously. We have something that's called an innovation day that has bred into other things such as Genius Hour or passion projects. And the thought process behind it is pushing beyond the curriculum, beyond our curriculum maps and our standards and our standardized testing to say, let's look at what kids are passionate about. Let's look at what they would choose to do if they were given that freedom and push, again, the limits of what is possible. And so we give these kids these days, we say, all right, you guys have an entire day to learn about and create anything you want. And these days are my favorite days as a teacher. We have kids that are passionate about dance, so they spend their entire day choreographing a dance. And at the end of the day, they put on a little recital. We have kids that are passionate about movie making and producing and using stop motion film to create feature films. And I always really like the story of my good friend Eric, who spent his entire day on our very first Innovation Day composing a guitar solo. And at the end of the day, he performed what you could see was his first rock concert in front of 300 of his peers. And it was really powerful. And so I like these and the way they have transformed into Genius Hours, where teachers are giving kids set amount of time throughout their day to be geniuses, to be innovative, to be makers, and push the limits on what is possible, but also push the limits on what has always been done. And I think the next step in that evolution of pushing the limits is not just having these days or these hours, but just having that be how we do school. We don't have a genius hour. We have kids that we recognize their genius all the time and push back on the traditional thought of what a genius is. Because I truly believe that each kid has their own genius. Each kid has the innovator inside of them. And oftentimes as schools, we suppress it, we hide it, we box it in. And I think that if we step back, we push the limits of that box, we let kids take control of the learning, and we just get out of their way, that I think truly the limits will cease to be even there. And we can really see what kids are capable of and allow them to be the geniuses and the innovators and the thinkers and the makers that we know and I know they can be.